We're holding in the middle of the the Esem Nekuda that the Azay, the Remez, that Chiyasamesim is Meramez on that a person waking up in the morning is Meramez on Chiyasamesim, so that's me is Psavaita Remez. That says you can't compare the Chiddush of waking up in the morning. That's only the siluk is not a full, is not a complete siluk, and that's like the siluk epis siluk is faran, waking up in the morning. Mashikin misa is a full siluk, but besides that, chisamesim is going to be, it's not stamazay being mechaber the nevesh and the guf. There's the acher misa, the guf is mishtana legamri, the guf becomes eis mitzias, and the nevesh and the neshama also is misale to a whole different dargis. So the chisamesim is going to be rebuilding the nevesh and rebuilding the guf. It's mamash is havas chodesh, a new life. It's not stamazay being mechaber a nevesh and guf. So what's the dimin bechal between wake up in the morning to chisamesim? So feed them as the Rebbe's environment because the Torah Chassidus v'chaz mevayer that this havas habriya is b'chol rega v'rega. The etz and the nivra mitzadatzmi and dugmas. Like I say, the mashal. When you get this Zrikas Evan, why is it that when a person throws a stone, the fact that the Evan is flying is always totally that the Keich Hayad is pushing the stone, because the stone is never the stone is not something that could fly. The fact that the stone is in the ear, that's all mitzad is all mitzad Keich Hayad. But mitzad the Teva Evan itself, Teva Evan is to be to be munach lakarka. So the fact that the stone is flying is mitzad Keich Hayad. So Mele the Keich Hayad always has to be there, because the Evan mitzad atzmai without the Keich Hayad being pale in it, that it should be nizrak, the Evan's going to be on the floor. Al derech zeh is havas karega v'rega. The nivra mitzad atzmai is ayin ve'efes mamash. So the teva nivra, the nivra is a non-existent being. The fact that it exists, a chiddush heipich tivei. The mele has to be havas karega v'rega. So that's this is the nishtigeder beer. Why is this havas karega v'rega? It just says that's mean the Hashem Tov zok doch that this havas not the pshat Eibush created the world once. I'm already saying the Alter Rebbe's beer because it's a chiddush, but I'm saying the etzem vart of Hashem Tov Perikal Sheichot V'Amunah that this havas wasn't an that there was once the Eibush had not given emol, and from then it's existent. But this havas is because rega mechodesh. As Nahav given Sheis Mei Bereshis, so this havas was for that rega, and then the next rega what is given Eis Mitzias, because this havas Ratchila is bechol rega v'rega. Yeah, something get the beard. That's because a chiddush always is the keich mechadish. Now that's the einzach. So that's bechol rega v'rega. That's lavdafka waking up in the morning. So the fact that there's in of is havas mechodesh, in of tchias hamesim is havas mechodesh, that's bechol rega v'rega. Lavdafka waking up in the morning. But the Rebbe's Meistal, the Rebbe's look at the Torah, that the Kavan al Yena is that all the Inyanim L'mayla, all the Inyanim of Gdulas Hashem, of the godless Abeira, should be, the Kavan al Yena was that there should be Inyanim in the Bria. There should be, the Nevraim should have a Akara in Gdulas Abeira. That's what they created the world in a way that there's the Inyanim in the Bria which express and which bring out the Inyanim of Elokus. That means the Inyanim of Elokus were Nimshach in Ha'efin, that they're melubish in the bria, that there's inyanim abriya which could be a mashal, which could through them is expressed different inyanim gdulas habeir. So the way it is kameishu cannot be expressed in the bria. The maiver me'ayin liyesh, the ayin is before the nivra existed, before the world existed. The nivra only exists after there's already the ishabas. So how could you have the maiver of yesh ma'ayin that it should be expressed in the bria? But Alter Rebbe says that the fact that the world becomes weak, and the world is just cheshach balayla. There's a certain header, a certain siluk in the anhagas abriya balayla. And there's a schachas bayayim. The pnimi is that chlishus or that siluk, whatever siluk there is by night, is an expression of the fact that the nivra mitzad atzmei is ayin ve'efes mamash. Means that the fact that the nivra mitzad atzmei is ayin ve'efes, that was yet the inyan of havas ayin was yet nimshach in the bria. There is a tchun in the nivra which expresses this nekuda b'savas yishmayim. Which nekuda? The fact that the nivra becomes weak. There's a certain siluk and heder achayis. The chitzain is only a union of chlishus in the chayis. But pnimi is that's the extent how much is able to. That's neveh mitzad the fact that the nivra be'etzem is ayin. Because be'etzem is ayin, so it's expressed in the fact that the nivra becomes there's a chlishus in the nivra. There's a chlishus in the nivra every night. But that's an expression of the fact that it's ayin, and the fact that the world is refreshed every morning. That's a bit that there's this havas hayesh min ayin. So b'chitzenius you see a world getting weaker and a world getting stronger. But this system of sleeping and waking up, the sleeping is an expression of the fact that the atzmei is ayin. Means why taka does he get weak? Because the primis inyani is not mitzias, inyani is ayin. the extent the nivra is able to be, it should be Meir in the Metzias. The header of the Metzias is a nekudas a header which is negate chalishus. Chalishus is a nekud of header. It's a nekud of siluk hateikif. It's siluk hateikif, not siluk hametzias the gamri. But that's an expression that be'etzim the inyan Metzias is not be'etzim is an ayin. Be'etzim is b'chal not a Metzias. And the header is Meir in the nivra in akopanim in that degree that there's a siluk, there's a header of his teikif. And al derech zeh, this chachas ha-metzias, contains all these chachas ha-teikif. But that's a bitu of the fact that this havas is yesh ma'ayin. From their ayin shabalayla, from the chalishas shabalayla, from them is ma'avad the Rebbe yesh. So b'meila, so b'emes, waking up in the morning is mitzadamita se'inyin, in them gitzach hareis, and that's a bitu of the inyan of his havas yesh ma'ayin. A person becoming a birya chadash in the morning, that's a bitu b'chai ha'odam in the fact that he's mitzhava yesh ma'ayin. The Gabi felt Al Rebbe says a good Torah. The fact is, Havas Yesh Ma'ayin is bat in the Bria that's Balayla and Bayim. But Al the Gabi, every person himself, the dimension Alina also is Havas Karega Varega. Where is it expressed in the Chai Ha'adam, in the Metzias Adam, this Havas of Yesh Ma'ayin? That's in the fact that he goes to sleep and he wakes up. So the waking up in the morning is Be'etzim and them likt, and that's Neveh, that's Mishtashel from the end of his Havas Yesh Ma'ayin. So may let's the same Mahusas Tchias HaMesim. Tchias HaMesim is Havas HaNivra Mechodesh. Is Havas HaNeshama is Havas HaGuf Mechodesh. And that's the Pnimius, that's the emes of going to sleep, waking up, or waking up from sleep. It's also in Havas Yishmayim. Said the Mitasini. L'Poyel, it's not fully expressed. Begashmis and Leidim. But that's the Inim Mitzadatzmin. Azam Esert Inim Nidas. That's what. So I mean, you have Kam in Yanam Azeh. I mean, I mentioned there's Kam Degmai Azeh that Bechitzeni is. It cannot be mizbatim more. Not that the Indian that's the Indian that's behind it is the same Indian. There's other digmais for it. Yeah. So das verstandig the word. Yeah, das versteht. Oh, so the Rebbe geht noch a word. He says like this. So that's a beer versteht noch this. Now the Rebbe is saying that b'chdei as a yitzal that the remes of that's havas that the person waking up in the morning. It shall take be a remes of Tchias HaMesim. What's the pshat in the Meheda Anapi remes? The pshat Sayyid wakes up in the morning, it reminds him, and it's mechazik as a mun in Tchias HaMesim. So okay, Mavir, the be'etzim waking up in the morning is the gilui of the inyan of his Havas Yesh Ma'ayin. Havas Yesh Ma'ayin happens b'chol rega v'rega, but it's not nirgash in the mitzias. The Eibush creates the world every rega, but in Velt the Gufet that's nicht nirgash. Where is there an expression in Velt to the fact that Havas Yesh Ma'ayin isn't waking up in the morning? From the state of ayin, of sleeping, which is in the kud of ayin, verta yesh, vector zechuf. So that's in the bria, the say where the inyan of yesh ma'ayin gets a chares in the bria in the mitzias adam. Oh, so now the shaila is that I was explaining how Chassidus gives a clarkite in the pshat of the remes. Now they're saying as git rein a chayis. That means a person stamazay it's a remes rachik ma'id and a guy be'etzim as a mun and Tchias HaMesim. This gives him a kleiner physical dirt. Here the Rebbe is saying that through that Shasayid is connected to Yechidah Shubanefesh, is connected to the Eir Chassidus, so as Kantak as Dover Amiti, that him waking up in the morning, he'll see it that it's the same Mahus as Tchias HaMesim. And b'meilet that when he says Rabbi, the waking up in the morning, Kotake be mechazik, b'mtzias in a levitic eif in the inyan of Tchias HaMesim. That's the Rebbe says. Amidus hergish zeh u'mitzatchila Yechidah Daf. It means that it should be not only a person should know, theoretically speaking, or know this concept. The waking up in the morning is a reflection of his Havas Yesh Ma'ayin. He should sense it. He should sense that the fact that he's waking up is a Havas Yesh Ma'ayin. How could he be margish? He is weak and he's coming strong. He can margish that in the fact that he's waking up is as if his mitzvah is mischadish. Means there's through Chassidus a person could have the hergish that in the fact that he becomes weak, that's an expression of the fact that he's an ayin ve'efes mamish. The vern shvach, that's not stam vern shvach. That's a bit of this header, this little header that's there, and we're getting weak. This little silika chayis is an expression that's a bit of the nekudas a header that the be'etzim is an ayin. It can be margish that, and the fact that he wakes up, that's a inyan of yesh of his havas yesh ma'ayin. That's dafka through the erechs through Chassidus is megal yechidish v'nevesh. It's mazber fabas. So the other p'nei nefesh neshama chaya mekiven shem atzmam nimtzoim ba'olam means the darg of nefesh neshama chaya is all the dargest in the neshama which is mechuven keneged a certain olam, and there are a certain tzir, a certain mitzias. They're part of the mitzias. They all have a shaychas to the mitzias olam. Nefesh is basir, ruach b'yitzira, neshama bebriya, chaya b'atzilus. So they are len gefinnen sich im Welt. Hari mashenrigesh eslam bepshitus הוא מציאס לאילומס. וההרגש שאין שום מציאס לאילומס, וכל מציאס מחדש שסתם מעין ואפס המוחלט, הוא בדרך ישחטשס אצלה. Was wir auf der Nukle der Sänger. Sehen wir, was kommt da ist der this word. Yeah, saying, what do we have? We have over here a person waking up in the morning, where there's a nukud of siluk by night. The person gets weak. There's a nukud of siluk and header of his takev, and then in the morning he's refreshed. So you can look at it just bechitzenius. It's not an expression of the fact that never be'etzim is an ayin. That be'etzim is not a mitzias. It's just it's a relative header. Or you could look at this header as an expression of the fact that the Nivra mitzad atzmi is ayin. And what's it tali on? Who's going to see in the fact that the Nivra has this header chalki? Who's going to see in it an expression of the fact that the Nivra is ayin ve'es mamish? And who's going to see in it an akuda of the stam as a weakness, and not an expression of the fact that it's ayin ve'es mamish? So that's totally what's munach b'pshittis and what's a chiddush. Say in Parshas, you have there's many animal gets also in Musig and Veld, you have in Niglo Mashal, so you have you have a suffix, let's say, on who is mutal to bring a raya. So the tzad which is against the chazaka, that has to, in order to be mevashes that tzad, you have to have a stronger raya, says it. They say that the matzav stayed according to the status quo, so you don't have to bring a raya. So misafik altet ze enem mechiskase means mashal meisachol avaraya. So the who avem and ligdach the achraya is to bring a raya, the one that wants to be mechad or something, that the matzav aragul is kach v'kach. You want to say that in this something changed, you have to bring a raya. So usually you go basaruba. You want to say that in this case something unusual happened, alecha lo havi raya. The one that says that this mitzias was that it's al derech haragul doesn't have to bring any rayas. You always have to bring a raya to the tzad which is more mechudish. The tzad that's less mechudish, the tzad that's saying that things are regular, of them tzad, that bringing a raya of them. That's so if you have a case, so the shaila is you see a mitzias of a nivra getting weaker. So by someone that mitzad him, the fact that the world exists is part of mitzias. That's he's part of this mitzias. So that's the fact that be'etzem the mitzias is ayin ve'efes mamish, and the fact that it exists only because the Eibush is mahav the nivra. But the nivra mitzad atzmi has no yechelis limatzim. Mitzad tiva is an ayin ve'efes mamish. That's a chiddush to gabi here. Means that's you want to tell me that the world be'etzem is not a mitzias. The pashtus dvarim is the pashtus, the way the tfisa or the gila, the way he sees the mitzias is that the world is a faran. The world exists. Chassidus comes and says, "Ich weiß, when we get to Masber sein, that world be'etzem is an ayin ve'efes mamish." That's a chiddush. So you have to prove this chiddush. I mean, if he sees clearly that the nivra, you bring him rayis mechoches, nivra is ayin ve'efes mamish. Good, hatanish kimbreir has made it to them. Kol's man, he doesn't see that, so then you can't be mitzi the pashtos with the psashvach hazak. Masha'ink in some of the bahim the pshita says that there's an eibush there, and a mitzias is agafrex. Can there a mitzias? The fact that a mitzias outside of the Eibusher exists is a chiddush. The fact that there's a world is a chiddush. By mitzvah says with Eibusher is ein sof, it's not in art of tzveite mitzias. The only emes is alakus. The fact that nivra exists is a chiddush. So that's the Rebbe is not speaking about mitzvah seichel. Mitzvah what's the anachas hanefesh? Someone that is mitzias is eilam. So his pshittis is he exists. He's his mitzias, and mitzvah the gdar of his mitzias there's farnavel. Sagen the be'etzem the welt is nicht kemitzias. That's a chiddush the gabi. Masha'inkin dar yichida which is miyuchad with the Eibusher. The Eibusher is higher beyond the mitzias elemis. Eidas to gavar nafel. Dorten is mehr bepshittis that their emes is farna Eibusher. The Eibusher is ein sof. And a world semufrech is a sign of welt. And the fact that the world exists take a chiddush. So in them is totally someone that his pshittis is that the world exists. So when he sees the world getting weaker, he's not going to see in it an expression that it's ayin ve'efes mamish. He's going to see in it the world getting weaker. He's going to see in this that the essence of the world is ayin ve'efes mamish. That he's going to see in it a mitzias is very schwacher. By mitzad chines chiddush benefesh be'etzem dar pechandos sein kein welt. Mitzad amitis hadvarde mitzad the kloli amitzias, so to speak. There shouldn't have been a mitzias elements. The Eibusher is ein sof and the hulavadu veins lost. There's no necessary smoking for another mitzias. So the minute you see Hazeh b'shas der Welt steht mit der ganzen Teike, so Hazeh der Ratzna Alina, Hazeh steht in Post, and Hazeh steht in Torah, they created the world. But the minute you see a chalishus in Welt, he sees right away that that's an expression of the truth that the world is always ayin ve'efes. But only a yid that by him is munach, that pshitas, that etzim that in of mitzias of a mitzias of Welt outside of Welt, because it's a chiddush. By him, the minute he sees a weakness in the mitzias of Welt, he sees that's a reflection of the fact that etzim the Welt exists. But that's telling what your hergish is. See a dogma. If someone, if you have certain things that it's a davar bara that some of the behim is munach of shittis ad rebish for the welt. Ad rebish is not mukbal and chukei teva. That's Meir beim shittis. And everything's bekavan al yena. And certain things, when something happens and he has no certain things, you're forced to, or the Metzias shows you that L'Poyel is a certain system. Api, the way you understand things should have gone, should have been different. And L'Poyel, there's a certain anhaga that's nevea mitzad the teva nivus. So then you're forced to say that it's teva. But if there's something abnormal happens, it's not the psanes l'malim derech hateva legamri. There's no way of to see otherwise. So something that happens that you could see it as a b'deichak, you could explain it as a natural phenomena, or you could see it as a means when teva is not what they ganze take. If there's teva is b'chlishus, something happened that's not a full ness, but it's also not it's not a ness yesim derech haragel. But if things would have worked regularly, they left one pach shemen dort behalten. So someone that his pshitas is teva. And the fact that there's an Eibishter which is not limited in that he's the one running the system, that's a psavaita zach. So if he has no breda and he sees something that he has no way of explaining it klal api his pshitas, so if there's something that clearly is opposite of chukei teva, his mind that the Sfan Eibishter was for develop. But anything that he could explain that's not a stira to his pshitas, if it's not a stira mechatas to his pshitas, he's going to explain even b'deichkin. He's not going to see in it a ness. He's going to see in it that. In this case, something abnormal happened. There was a pach shemen. Mashikin ayid by him is memunach of shittas at the Eibishter for the welt, and the fact that there's chukei teva, that's a chiddush. But there's an Eibishter and everything's run by him. There's no world that functions mitzad itself. The fact that there is a musig of mitzvah teva is because all the bertzani there should be teva. But mitzad the nature of things, the way they're supposed to be, without this special gzeres because of the Eibishter b'shaf and teva. Mitzad shittas advarim, the Eibishter created the world. He's the one running it. So when you see Hanagas Teva with the Ganze Teikev, so that's Api Teva. The minute you see Teva, something happened which is not fully behesim with Chukei Teva, even though it's not a Nes Muchach, but it's also not Teva Muchach, he's going to see in it right away a Nes. Because the klal is that when you see clearly Mitzias, Allah Zen in the Mitzias. Amazet Chveis Klora Lakus Hecher from Mitzias, there's nothing to discuss. What if you see something that's not Teikev HaMitzias, but not Teikev HaAyin? What are you going to see in that? So someone that his pshitis is mitzias to say that be'etzim the difference an ayin is heipach his pshitis, is heipach his regular tfisa, is heipach his mahalach. So then you to be mechadish something. Shalei kederech haragel does have to mechadish then. Kolzman there's no hechrich to say shalei kederech haragel. That for an ornament the zach is kamei shol derech haragel. Derech haragel so it's the achalishis in the mitzias. Mashenkin if the pshitis is the asdan Eibishter and the liver etzim has no tfisa smokim. The minute you see a chalishis in the mitzias, so right away you see it. So that's an expression of the fact that the liver mitzadat is ayin. When there's a take of a mitzias, so that you have no breda musta zagen that the Eibishter wanted there should be a mitzias. But when there's a vague situation, the take of a mitzias, there's a nekuda of heder and a nekuda of mitzias. So in any nekuda of heder, he's right away going to see in it. That's an expression of the fact that liver is ayin vefes mamish. The Rebbe is not speaking. The Rebbe is mas b'azel could tell, but in order for you to have a hergish that in the chlishus of the nivra, that's a bitui of the ayin of the nivra, that's dafka by someone that his hanocha pshuta is that a mitzias is a davar amufrich. That the only mitzias is the Eibishter. That there's something which looks independent outside of him. It's kener zayin azazach. Ayin exists, so that's the ratzon. But be'etzem azam is agefrek. So the minute you see any remnants of ayin, even a remnants of chimuot, any nekuda of ayin in the yesh, right away you see that's an expression of the fact that in this basic truth that be'etzem besides the Eibishter nothing exists, and there's no such a thing, an independent thing outside of the Eibishter. So that's dafka through anachas chassidus as amis v'tergish. Without chassidus, it's a nice pshetel that the Rebbe says that the waking up in the morning is Savas Yishmayim, but as mizal margers and as amis v'tergish, that should be your attitude towards waking up in the morning. That in your getting tired is an expression of the fact that be'etzem hanivra is garnished, and that waking up is hisavas yishma'ayin. That's dafka through mitzad anoch of chassidus. Kazan azarigish. It gives a chayis. The taki gives a chayis. Besides for the fact that it's mav here, gives a clark in the etzem inyan, but mizal taka. a chayis that is a remes amiti. It's mechazik the remes. It's not shedlo the pirish of remes. Yeah, it's mechazik the remes. The Yid taka sees make of the morning chis ames. So the Rebbe says. His amitis hergish zem set gila yichid that. Says da the bkhnes nefesh uchne shamachai hem atzmam nimtzaim ba'olam. The shaykh is to mitzias. So if that's their mitzias, so what's their pshittis? Their pshittis is mitzias. The Eibishter, that's not their mitzias. The Eibishter is azay the remes. And since that's the emes, so hat man nicht kembreder. Mechidish means it's not their status quo. It's not their basic function. That's the verneisif on them. But that's they're part of the Metzias Eilim, and there's a truth which Asfana Eibishter is a hergish ain't shu Metzias lo Eilim is chom tzidus chadeshes. Tomid ma'ayim ve'eves hamuchlit that the Eilim have no Metzias be'emes, and the whole Metzias in the ve'emes had the Eibishter. That's a chiddush by them. That's not their regish. That's not their regish tivi. It's not the regish mitzad their Metzias. Since it's not the regesh mitzad their mitzias, so what do they see naturally in things? You see naturally according to what your natural tfisa is. Unless you see something which is totally the opposite. But kozman, there's no stirah to your natural halagish. You're going to tight up what you see based on the way your tfisa is. Which is higher than elam is, higher than mitzi is. So by Yechidus Nergish Pshittis the emes, it means its Pshittis is Shkol Elmas Mayim Ve'efes HaMuchlet. The Eibishter is Mitzias. Everything outside of him is Ayin Ve'efes Mamish. The fact that they exist is a Chiddush. Chiddush means it's Heipach HaKlol. It's Heipach HaYigoy. It's Heipach. So it's nicht gedarf sein as it. It shouldn't have existed. Chiddush Gomer, which is Mechadish Tamid B'Charega V'Rega. Yeah, the Rebbe brings another 101 dargis. Even though I'm most taking this that Gabi Atzilis Elukus Pshittis. There's dargis in the case. That's Shinoch. Good. Lamer Zen Sifidalit. So this was to get to the Chilik HaRemes. It's the Rachayis v'Avhara shechsidis machniso b'Chilik HaDrusha v'Meidani. It's also interesting to say. So what's the Drusha Meidani? That Meidani is that Azevi the Rebbe gets written. Drush means that we darshan not a hint in the Inyan. The Inyan is commercial. We darshan from this to another Inyan. So the Rebbe gives us back our neshama in the morning. And we learn from that how a person should behave like the pekdonos that are given to him. Yeah, person the biyad chafket ruchi, so the neshama is a pikadim by the Eibishter. And even though a person owes the Eibishter a lot, that everything that a person gets is valva, and agam the yid still chayiv to the Eibishter. We don't use out the days and the minutes so we owe him. After bikain is not ma'akiv the pikadim, but add the chayves that we owe the Eibishter. At least learn the phone. That we should yid a mafkid git imitzer apikoden, you should give it back and not be ma'akiv the pikoden. It's at chayvis that the mafkid owes him. No, that's the bir apidrush. That brings it from Zeir, I think. This or Medrash. Yeah. So there was like this. It's from Zeir. B'kasher with Meidani. It's Rabbi Munasecha that he should learn to be loyal, to be trustworthy. Israel akif because the madachev shel mafkid b'li abir chassidus. Fana sa Israel. To ma'akif because the madachev shel mafkid without chassidus. Also, this is not the beer of the Meidani. The beer of chassidus b'chlal only avana luchor. I mean, without the side the point before. There's I don't want to use this, but beer chassidus means elements of metzias or inyanim, but chassidus at megalig event. This Indian that be'emes is havas yesh ma'ayin ve'efes that the nivra is b'chol rega b'rega mechodesh, that the mitzias misadatzim is ayin ve'efes, that the fact that the nivra exists, be'etzim the nivra is a non-existent thing, that's the Indian that was chassidus at environment. Teish not under the svarim. This nekuder, the etzim Indian of leil mashal drachim nishamayim that you have in chveis medrash even. But the avana that the reason why this has b'chol rega b'rega is because the nivra is beteva cannot exist. It doesn't contain the tchuna of mitzias. A nivra is mitzad atzmai. It's at his own virtues. He's an ayin ve'efes mamish. That's a element of azad. That's an inivas chassidus of the galig event. That's a beer of chassidus. So that beer gita avana in the remez of Meidan. See, that's it's not this nekuda that the be'etzim the nivras ayin ve'eves mamish. That's from the Yechida world. That's from the world of that we're not limited in the Metzias Eilumis. That's not from a chilik and Torah which is connected to Vel. A chilik which is connected, which is melubash and Vel. So the gabe that darge Vel is a Metzias. Idart and vertish is bar this aspect. It's not brought out this aspect in the Metzias and Nivra that is be'etzim is ayin ve'eves mamish. That's the beauty of Chassidus. It gives a chayis in the Remes. Al derech here, what the Rebbe speaks about here, there is the regular Havana in mitzvahs that you have mitzvah other chalkei Torah, and there's the light that Chassidus brings to the musig of mitzvahs. It means there's a certain darge or a certain element that Chassidus discusses that's not discussed. Al derech, like when you get to the neshama, when you get to the pirush v'yem yem, that the darge v'chida hat nicht gerettens for him früher. We spoke about the Yid Seichel, Yid's Midis, Yid's Mesiras Nefesh, but the fact that it's a darge in a Yid, the Nekudas HaMetzias of a Yid, that there's only Yichud with the Eibush without any Tzir, so that's a Chishnan to this one. So Al Derech Zed, there's a certain Nekud in mitzvahs which is never from that level of reality, from the level of Ein Sof, which is Mibiradla in the Lashon HaKabbalah. From the Inyanim of mitzvahs, the way they are Mitzat Ein Sof, the way Ein Sof is Ba'atzmin, not the way it's connected to Eilumis, which with that light, we're going to have a different beer in the Pshat Al Pi Drush. Saying this general point, that that's a very means all other chalkei Torah all dealing with Elikus, the way Elikus is connected to some form of mitzvahs. Chassidus read the way they are b'muhussam ha'amitis, b'muhussam the way they are in Ein Sof, not the way Ein Sof is connected already to mitzvahs. The way they are b'tzad Ein Sof. Eret the neshama the way it is mitzad Ein Sof. Ameret velt the way it is mitzad ha'amitis einin, which mitzad ha'amitis einin mitzad Ein Sof. There is no velt. And velt is a mechudesh ma'ayin vefes mamish. And al derech zeh, now derech when you get to Torah mitzvahs. You have Torah mitzvahs the way they're explained in other chalkei Torah. You have the concept of Torah the way it is in Tzad Chassidus. So Chassidus, the concept of Torah is the way it is in Tzad Yitzhak. So another, let's get it in. So it is. But you get the general kav. In other words, azivot mi gesagt. I'm just going to bring out a simple thing. There's many realms of reality. Just to bring out this point. There's the realm of pshat, let's say, and then there is, let's say, there's the legal realm. Someone owes someone else money. So you have looking at it in Einer comes again, month von jenem Geld. So you ask someone emotionally, you're going to say, or you're going to have to hold deal and body Hashem, body Ad. You say, Allah's up, this person hat nicht kein Geld, and this person, that's not, you learn Gemara, so you don't make that's there's another element of the Einer. There's legally, who does this money belong to? Who has the right to demand the money? So when someone discovers the legal aspect of things, does that change his tfisa on the mitzad regesh? It's two separate realms of mitzvahs. There is being sensitive to this poor person that he doesn't remember if he borrowed money or not, and then there's the legal aspect. There's body, there's shemach, face, vashid, negdar. The Rebbe is saying, Chassidus is explaining Inyan the way they are mitzad Ein Sof. So now you became aware to the Inyan the way they are mitzad Ein Sof. It's not going to change your tefillah and the Inyan the way they are mitzad lower levels. The whole point is to explain that when you're connected to the light of the Inyan the way they are mitzad Ein Sof, so all realms are seen differently and lived with and dealt with differently. That's so there's going to get to of chelik haremes.
It's not that the beer of Chassidus Meidani makes
the beer of the Friedrich Rebbe doesn't change the beer of Pshat. The Rebbe is not speaking about this. The Rebbe started in the beginning of the Kundris. The Chassidus is not movable to levush. It's not like Friedrich Rebbe explained Meidani that there's no tumah that can be pagan. But then the Kundris, Friedrich Rebbe is not to explain this specific word of tumah being pagan. To connect to, you should have an act to connect it to Pchinas HaYechida, to connect it to the Pnimius, the way the Inyanim are mitzad Ein Sof. That's B'chlal what Chassidus does. Connect, and the Rebbe bringing out Kama v'Kama Inyanim, that the Chassidus explains the Inyanim the way they are mitzad Ein Sof. And the Pnimius Inyan is that a Yid should be connected to the Inyanim the way they are Be'etzem. The Inyanim the way they are Be'etzem change, automatically is going to change his attitude to the way the Inyanim are B'mkayim. That's what I'm saying. When you have a tfisa, mitzad Ein Sof, Elumis have a different taich. And mitzad Ein Sof, Torah has different taich. It's not again now that the Friedrich Rebbe is beer and hayem yem shigav achayis. It's not the nekuda. Friedrich Rebbe brings out the nekuda saychida. When a yid is connected to the inyan and the way they are mitzad that darga, so all aspects of her life is different already. That's the Chassidus Rebbe's thing is not this specific beer of Chassidus. Chassidus is the explaining things the way they are mitzad Ein Sof, kameshu hu Mitzad the Mehusa Indian, not the way it's limited in a tzir, the way it is Mitzad Nimsaf Atzim. I'm saying that's the whole Kunduz goes like. Huh? Good, that's Fashidin Inyanim, but that's the Rebbe is not saying that the Biur Prati, the Friedrich Rebbe, the Gabi Tuma, is going to explain everything. That's not the Nekuda. The Friedrich Rebbe with the Biur relates to B'chinas HaYechida. When B'chinas HaYechida is accessed, is Alt Beitzach.
It sound like at one point that the beer, he said this will explain.
So from the light from that realm. In light in that, from the light of that realm, everything is different. Speaking, when the Yid's access B'chinas HaYechida, so his Hergish and Welt is different. His Hergish waking up is that it's a B'tei Vayim V'efes. The Rebbe is using the Biurim of Chassidus, but the point is that when you're in touch with this part, with this emes, that there's an Eibishter which is beyond the whole Metzias Elemis, and that's the whole Metzias of a Yid, so your Yachas to your life is that you're Adibista Yid, and life without a Lukus is garnished. And Derech Zebin get to Remes, that waking up in the morning, the Chlishus and the Metzias, that's, you see in it, the ayin of the Nivra. That's, it's not about the Bir Prati, that's the in a certain point, one of the points in the Kundus that Chassidus is not a prat. It's not explaining this detail or that detail. It's revealing the muhus of the inyanim. The muhus of everything is the way they are mitzad etzem, and that's what Chassidus is dealing with. To be megal the inyanim the way they are mitzad atzmos. The world's going to be the way it is mitzad etzem. And Chassidus is mevar the inyanim the way they are mitzad etzem. Yeah, that's nicht as pashat. I don't know if there's another place that's so izgeret in such a, I don't know how to say it, in such a raw way. The Inyan Chassidus says with this, the Kunduz explain without levushim really. It's mamish is touching the muhos Inyan kamei shehu, in a very strong way. Yeah, in a certain way, it's a very. Yeah.
Chassidus basically teaching you limud, how to live your life in a way of the shit.
Yeah, that's like the Rebbe Freer, yeah. Okay, but you're going now different. I'm saying the way I'm saying what the way you're saying it is, yeah, and it's true what you're saying. Yeah, I'm saying Mashiach is going to come. Their Welt wird sein as I'm saying the Metzias Ha'adam is going to be that way. We're going to see life as that it's Pashto life is going to be a Yid's life. It's not the way the Rebbe is saying here. A Yid can have an azah hergish. Jamaisim we could see a lepler, and bedakos every Yid learns chidus could have such a hergish. It's not that's. It's not necessarily the given of the way we saying we look at food. So some people sometimes, I don't know if you're aware of them, can the time of a chidush outside of the fact that it's ruach adam ma'ilei l'mayla. The fact that we can have such a hergish that it's ayin ve'efes, that's mitzad chassidus, but it doesn't mean that it's not yet the reality of the mitzias. I'm saying it's still in the Torah. Okay. That brings a dogma, but this is our general thing that's in the get to cloud. It says like this: it's yeah, it didn't case the mafkid owes him money. Someone gives you someone gives you to him and was mafkid by you a watch. He owes you $150. You have no way of getting paid. Ainly directly part of him. So the Shibali Yodi is damnus the Kabbalah Magili Lamalei Natzles. What's the tailus of giving back Pikotin to the mafkid? Because a person shouldn't lose his money. You have your money by me. I have someone else's money, so I have to give it back to the owner. The owner should have his money. But in this case, why should I give him back the chayvitz when he owes me he owes me $150? Why should he get back his thing and I should lose my money? So we're talking about in a case where he has no other way of getting the money, citing that he's going to keep this pikotin by him. Still, he's not allowed to do it. Why should he get it and I should lose out? What type of higayin is it? Because my stomach and Lepel we find in halacha that we're talking mischashav with such a time. If someone has a chayvitz a gazlan, and he has no way through it in Torah, he has no way of getting it. There's an Allah, he has no way of getting it. So the halacha is the bim any yachal yitzia me'agazlan adi bezdin mutter le'lemer la'acha sheiknas a chayvitz me'agazlan le'lehitzah yodi sakzel. I mean, a person's allowed to use tricks to get the chayvitz out of his hand. So the why? Because the purpose of because there's a te'elis, a person should get back his the bailam should have his money. So here the mafkid owes him money. Why shouldn't he have the right to keep the chayvitz in order to get back his chayv? You can't even hold it as a you can't even keep it as a mashkin according to some shittas, without the heskim of the mafkid. Yeah, in this case you'll be able to keep it. This is not so pashut. Under the halton mega zayah, it's not the kulam. This thing. Yeah, I think that it's a shakvatay. That brings the Ktsais brings desire. And the point like this din, the Rebbe is saying it, but the Ktsais brings desire. He quotes this from desire. There, but Kam Mekaris before, no? There is din, a whole list of Mekaris. But as far as free bracious, So the Mordechai brings it, but I think there's but there is a Simon Dalad in the Ktsesis, so there he brings B'Shem Azer, I think. But we said Ovid Inish Didla Nafshei, so according to some shittas he is allowed to keep it, the chayfetz. But it's not bad. It's not shakatari.
What's the other thing that you're allowed to tell someone else to
No,
buy?
if someone steals from you something, you're allowed to find eitzes and tachbulis to get the chayfetz out of him, to get the chayfetz back. You're allowed to, if he's not going to give it to you, you're allowed to someone else to buy it from him, and that guy, he'll give it back to you. Different efanim. And then what's the tzir they're getting the money? Then the tzir. But he's allowed to use different tricks to get the chayfetz out of the gazlan.
The trick for culture is allowed to keep it.
Yeah, why shouldn't he keep the chayfetz which is hit? Which be'etzim that person owes the money.
It's a different loan.
So it's a different loan. It's $150. Why should the same amount of money? Let's say the mashkin is worth less than the amount of money that he owes.
And the chayfetz he really wants and you.
So Zion, but he owes you money. He's not. You have no way of getting it back. So why should? Because he wants his object. What's the purpose of giving back to the cousin? That a person has no right to take someone else's thing. So in this case, why should I lose my thing because of your right? They are saying, the purpose is he shouldn't lose his chayfetz. But what about? Why should it be at the expense of me losing my chayfetz? Oh, so the Rebbe sagt, Zach. But there's Achsidus and Ve'eres, Azam Esrd Bir. So it starts like this. We have mitzvahs, but they're a klal. The mitzvahs, these mitzvahs of Chesh Mishpat, are mitzvahs Shesh Aleim Time. The chiyuv, or there's a mitzvah hashava to give back the chayvus to the mafkid. Dinei shemre. It's a mitzvah in Torah to give back the shemer, should wash the chayvus, give it back to the mafkid. The Rebbe learns the Kodesh Machlekes, it brings later Machlekes Achreinim, but the way the Alter Rebbe paskins, that there's a mitzvah hashava to give the chayvus back to the mafkid. The pashas, all these, this is a mitzvah from the Sukkah Mishpatim, which is a mitzvah sheyesh beitam. Means there's a reason for this mitzvah. The reason why the Eivish should mitzvah given, that you should give back to the to the mafkid, is because the owner should have his chafatzim. So in a case where it's going to be at the expense of another owner losing his chayfetz, so the tzedek is machayev. The same purpose that says to give back the chayfetz to the mafkid says that in this case the nifkat shouldn't lose out. Why should I lose out my money to give it back to him? So the Rebbe said, Chassidus is mevar that kol mitzvahs, even though sheyesh aleim tam, a different avon, even though sheyesh aleim tam ikram hu, the ikr of that mitzvah is ratzon el and shamal meta. It means mitzad. This is Chassidus ad goshim. Mitzad nikla mitzad atzma. You have three categories of mitzvahs. There's chukim, which are taka beyond reason, which are not based on seichodic reasons. But then you have things that are things which are based on reason. Now, pinigla, these mitzvahs are mitzvahs sheyesh aleim tam. And lefize, what is schwer zu verstehen, verschiedene Sachen, verschiedene Dinge. So Chassidus is mevar that even those mitzvahs that have a tam, beikram, their ikram mahus is that the ratzon el in shalom alam mitam. That's the first thing. Means there's a tam take, but the tam is not magdir what the mitzvah is. The mitzvah beikre bleibt in shalom alam mitam. Let's see the Rebbe's mevar. Ikram ratzon el in shalom alam mitam. Ki ratzon gam kshu bobetam nisher hu b'mhuse u'b'pshituse. Yeah, that's the chiddush. That's not understanding what's the hezber. That's the chiddush Rebbe is saying. Azay Faranaza, I'm saying the Rebbe is adding over here. There's two things here. You have one akudah. The chiddush always says that sheirish kol mitzvah is the isser in all that steal. So Laris is one of his mitzvahs in mishpatim. You know, listening. That's a mitzvah we understand very well. That to steal is a incorrect thing. It's not heipech hamusar, heipech hayeshet to steal. Now chiddush says that the mitzvah, the fact that there's a isser, not we're against the Eibusher is against stealing. Leis signei. So hebt sich nicht done from them because since gneva is a davar amushlo, it's a wrong thing. Therefore, the Eibusher says don't do it. But the isser of leis signei begins misadratzne elin before the whole concept of seichel existed. Apayim shana kodma teru le'elam. The ratzne elin that there should be leis signei he doesn't want gneva. That ratzon is heitzachon before the Eibusher created the Metzias, and before the idea of Bechlal was created that Gneva is a wrong thing. All the ratzon Hakadosh Baruch Hu lei signet. Even before, you say the mashal on the nefesh that a person, you say the Chassidus state that a person has a ratzon labayis. So mitzad the etzem nefesh, the ratzon labayis is not because he's not going to be able to live without a house. It's going to rain and it's going to be dark. And he's not going to have where to put his things. There's different reasons why a person wants a house. Mitzad the etzem nefesh, even before he's affected by rain, before the nefesh is connected to the guf and then rain affects him. Kol etzem nefesh has a ratzon labayis. Kol mishen labayis any other. The nefesh ha'adam has a meshikah towards a bayis. And there's l'mayla mitam. You can't say the reason why he wants a house is because he wants to have a place where to put a suitcase. It's before in the nefesh there's no musik of a suitcase yet, or because it's gonna rain. There, that's the etzem nefesh is connected. There's a meshicha there, l'mayla mitam, that misha ein lebayis any other. Without this makaf of a bayis, he's lacking something. In nafshi he's lacking, not a technical tam, which is beyond tam really. The nefesh alone is higher than the mizgeres of tam, and the ratzon lebayis is higher than the mizgeres of tam. But then that's the nefesh mitzadasim. When a person experiences the ratzon lebayis, he's not only experiencing his etzem nefesh. It's the ratzon going through many filters. It goes through his brain, and it goes through his life that he's living now. So when the ratzon lebayis, which is when it's simcha from the etzem nefesh to a ratzon that he experiences lepoil, it went through many shlavim the nefesh adam. So it went through his brain and went through his situation in life. So the ratzon, now there was no taste of time on the ratzon. It's not just tamazeh ratzon lebayis, some meshicha dort, or misha lebayis any other. He needs a bias because if not, he's going to feel like chveis abatlet or any other ein ratzon zayin time him why he wants a bias, or his chveis is not going to be able to put his things down, or he wants to have a place to be able to sit quietly. Okay, it's a bizarre. But that's not the Indian heitzich nishtan mitzad the tam. The meshicha didn't begin. The fact that the person wanted to chveis a cold cup of juice, that started because he was hot. That didn't come from his etzem nefesh. But the ratzon lebayis, that's because in yeder mensch b'munach b'pnimius nafshe a meshicha tabayis. Lepoil, when the ratzon is mizgala and it comes to a state of a person lepoil mamish wanting it, it's going to be it's already there's time in which it's zugestellt to the ratzon. But then there's timing. So the meshicha means your urge to the house doesn't begin with the time. The urge to the house begins in your pnimius nefesh. But lepoil, when you're experiencing this urge through the filter of seichel, what are you margish? You're not necessarily margish the urge the way it is inside your etzem. You're margish that the rain bothers you, or other things. It means the ratzon, the way it's melubish betam, there it's not meir the pshitas haratzon. The inyan the way they are l'mayla mitam. There's a chassidus is been so the idea many places in chassidus that all mitzvahs are mushish in ratzon alien. Kach all the ratzon shlak b'rtzenish like Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Torah says before there's a mitzvah seilamis. So before gnevas, before there's a musik of bailus yet, before there's an idea that there's mine and there's his, and it's not correct to take someone else's thing. So all the beratzon alien, the beratzon of the Eibusher himself, that gneva should be mufrach, leisignev, or all the bersenis barat that a nifkat should give back to bikod. And there it's not based on a tam. There it's kach all the bersenis like the Baruch. The Eibusher is ein sof. It's beyond tam. Nish v'gen the menetzach. Lepoil the dinim in cheshem mishpat. A lot of dinim are based after the ratzon was already in the slavish in tam. Let's say. Shin slavish gevarn in tam means the ratzon b'shas the ratzon is zgala in chochmas atayro. Let's say when it's zgala in a way that there's a whole system of dinim. This la'achri the ratzon was a slavish in chochma elad atzilus, and a slavish in chochma the bria. So it's a slavish mitzat chochma already. Chochma is already the sheirish of the mitzias elements. Mitzat that in gneva is a terrible thing, and the mitzat the ratzon of lisigna the way it's a slavish in tam. Mitzat that darge the shlila of gneva is because gneva is a terrible thing. So even though the shade of sharatz means the Rebbe is saying here, so mitzad that avana itself, what nachaltish verstanden this din of Israel akadebikot, because even though the ratzon b'shershe is the malam mitam, but the poil the ratzon goes through ishtalshalis and it's beslabish in tam through chacham ilad atzilis and lower time, and it's beslabish in apitayr, it's beslabish in mishpatim, and mitzad that darge the ratzon is connected to the tam. It's connected to different various reasons over there. So you use the mashal of the bayis. You're going to say the sheirish haratzon meshichat the bayis comes from because etzem nefesh has a meshicha pshuta tabayis. But the poil, there is the ratzon the way a person experiences it after it goes through the whole system of his nefesh, and there because he doesn't want it to rain, he doesn't want to be under. So you say the fact that a bayis has to be a solid roof, different types of things. That's not neveim said that's nefesh. That's neveim because of the tzayirach of rain. So as even can say there's certain dinim in Torah which are not neveim mitzad the ratzon elgin shalamayla mitam. They're neveim mitzad the slapshus and tam. I mean, so the chor about gewen schwerst, even though you're going to say the mitzvah hashavas abikadin, even this din, because the ratzon is the malam mitam. But this din, who said the din is neveh mitzad the inyan the way they're malam mitam. So the Rebbe adds another word. The Rebbe says here, kol mitzvah mitzvah sheyesh lem tam, ikram hu ratzon elin shel malam mitam. Ki ratzon gam kshuba betam nishru b'm husi b'shitase. Also, the way the ratzon is melubish in the tam, so bleibt the ratzon pashat. That you don't have that in the mashal. If I state the meaning. We'll see in a second what's about. We'll see later soon, and that's the time is. But the Rebbe is saying here is that even after the ratzon is lavish and tam, the mahus of the inyan and the way they are melubish and tam is kach olaber seinish la Kodesh Baruch Hu beyond tam. That's the ratzon. Also, the way it is lovish and tam is nisher ubim husi b'pshitza. Does that from an abir? But I'm just saying with touching the words that they're saying here. You heard the minion. So shulachen gam mitzvah is the mishpatin. So the even though the shadish of the mitzvah is ratzon elyon, but that's the shadish. Lepoil, we got the mitzvah after it went through the filter of time. You see, I don't experience the ratzon the way it is in pshitas hanefesh there, or ratzon pashut labayis. You experience the ratzon labayis after it went through the filter of your brain. So you say, you should relate to that ratzon as a ratzon from etzva hanefesh. What else? The ratzon, the way you experience it, is the way the ratzon is nimshach from your seichel. Here we're saying that Chassidus state that even mitzvahs she'eshalim tam, and the way we're living in a world of time. We see that we're living in a world that the gneva is a terrible thing. And the ratzon elyon, which the mitzvahs which are given to us, the ratzon is mirrored to us through the filter of time. So we see that gneva is davar mufrach because it's someone else's thing. And Chassidus Shet says that even the mitzvahs mishpatim, when you're not killing, you shouldn't kill because killing is a terrible thing. Because kach be'etzem killing, the Eibush is beyond the whole concept of who said killing is a bad thing. That's mitzvah gidra mitzias. The Eibush is not limited in this. He created this. So the reason, the shlila for not leis tzirtzach is kach oliver saying nishlak as well. But that's not. It could be. It's true that there's a shayrish, there's a lukus. The lukus is higher than mitzias elamas. But I don't relate to that argument. So the Rebbe is saying for the Chassidus is mevar. Why is Chassidus mevar that even the mitzvahs mishpatim? Because that's even la'achri the ratzon is slavish and tam. The pnimius of it is kach oliver saying nishlak as well. It's in the pshittis. It's not a gather of tam. You don't understand what the pshat. I'm just saying what the Rebbe is saying. It's not only not shelo. That's the ikri of the tam. Means what's linked in their tam is a ratzon pasha, not a ratzon avitam. What's in the tam is not a ratzon filtered and a reasonable ratzon. It's a ratzon shelamayla mitam which has a tam. It's something which is beyond tam which also has a tam. I'm just saying what's the I'm saying mitzad the biur, mitzad the if I state the meaning, just there's what the Rebbe is saying, and then there's the ratzon gam kshehu ba bitam nisharhu b'muhusim b'shittas. A person has a ratzon, the etzma nefesh wants to buy it. That's a meshicha pshuta, not a reasonable meshicha. The ratzon is not the nefesh. The etzma nefesh is not a reasonable entity. The etzma nefesh. The Alter says that it's in pshittas. The ratzon, its meshicha towards something is not because it makes sense, this reason or that reason. It's a meshicha pshuta. The way a mehus pshuta is nimshach to something. Now, but I'm not experiencing that darga. I'm experiencing a verstandige Sache. For verschiedene, so he has reasons for it. So even the way the ratzon is tam, it's still a ratzon pash. It's nishim. I'm saying the nekudas advarim is just. This is already, but the nekuda is what's taka the word that the ratzon has a tam. Shal is why taka? What's the inner that the ratzon elyon hot echet a tam? See, I have one eifin is because the ratzon was nisamtzin now, and the ratzon goes through the filter of seichel v'tam, and the meshicha is the hertzach the meshicha the way it is with pshitas hanefesh, and mitzad that darge the seichel finds time for the ratzon. That's but ratzon elyon is not the ratzon since it's a ratzon of ein sof. Could you define Ein Sof? Can't define Ein Sof. So if Oliver Tzeni shel Ein Sof leis signev, it's leis sig mitzad Ein Sof leis signev. Is that going to be limited that only mitzad pshitas leis signev, or if mitzad Ein Sof leis signev, so also mitzad everything is going to be leis signev? Means the mahus of the time is the same pshitas. It's not that since the Eibush is shalem, so he doesn't only have to be the ratzon does not only have to be mitzad the mode of pshitas. He could also lower himself down to be mislabish in tam. So then, the ratzon when it is mekabel and itself a tam is la'achri was nesamtza. L'mayl is nicht it. Whose ratzon is it? It's all the bertzeni shel ein sof leisignev. Means that the shlil of leisignev is a shlil mitzad ein sof. If it's a shlil mitzad ein sof, you cannot define that it's only going to be mushlo mitzad ruchnis not mitzad gashmis. Only mitzad the mun and not mitzad seichel. It's ein sof. It's leisignev. Signev is mushlo mitzad ein sof. Mitzad Ein Sof, it's going to be mushla on every level. But why is mushla on every level? Because it's nevei mitzad the seichel, or because the inyan is not a mugdar the king. Because the inyan is not mugdar. In such a case, the inyan which is in the tam is Ein Sof mamish. not mugbal if yatam. If I say the meaning. There's a tam because it's Ein Sof. It's the Ein Sof also has a tam. You can say it like that. I mean, different words. Good. Say the Kafana. The Rebbe is saying he's learning a mitzvah in Torah. Torah gives a reason. That it's not that when you're learning the reason, so the chod is a tzimtzum. It's learned in Torah the tam. What does it say? Don't be ma'anes ager because you yourself were a ger. Or don't embarrass someone. It's not nice to embarrass someone. So you're learning a tam. So that's after there's mitzvahs of a world created, and there's morals. Ethics darten, and being ma'av pnei chaver is a terrible thing. So the Torah nicht. But was hat es dann in ewig allein jedes geworden mit von der Welt? Ist nicht das. Leis salv pnei chaver is mitzad ein sof, and this ein sof is undefinable. So b'meila it's also so b'meila mitzad ein sof, also in the realm of sense, it doesn't make sense to be ma'av pnei chaver, and also in the world of midas, it's heipach hamidus to be ma'av pnei chaver. Why is it heipach hamidus? It's not a separate thing mitzad ein sof. That mitzad ein sof is also lisab, is also mufrach. So the inyan, the shlila of the tam is the shlila of the ein sof. It's not a different shlila. Mitzad amitas inyan. B'chatzenis you see a reason, but from van and shtam taka the reason. Why is it that al pi morals it's wrong to be ma'av pnei chaver? Because to be ma'av pnei chaver is an isser, the only b'tzeni of ein sof, not to do this. If the not is mitzad ein sof, you cannot define that it's only mushal mitzad a certain diary. It's going to be mushal ein sof. One of the expressions that it's mushal ein sof is that it's going to be against midas to do it, and it's going to be against seichel, because the inyan is ein sof. It's just a pasha, but the Rebbe says the same type of inyan. You say that different story. You have shverikaitim with this, because Rambam Mer Nevuchim he brings timing and mitzvahs. He brings very technical timing for different mitzvahs. Why, or let's even the Ramban's time, that why the mitzvah of achilush kashrus is behemoth meir is because they have bad tchunas. He brings even the words Rambam say different things. That's mamish. The reach, different technicalities. So, so this is the Rebbe Sazil learned to Chveis. The Rambam comes to answer Kaifrim, so he's giving them. But the Rebbe learns the Mer Nevuchim as a part of Torah. It's a raya that the Rebbe learned to make Ruch Satera Mer Nevuchim, I think. But the Rebbe brings that the Ramah, or the Taz, they quote Mer Nevuchim beginning of Shulchan Aruch. Mer Nevuchim is from a sefer, the sich of the Tvoim built to Mishtanim. There's other the Rebbe. It's Mekayris. The Mer Nevuchim is. The Rebbe says as a word that the fact that the Rambam is finding all these since Torah is Ein Sof. So mitzad the Ein Sof on every darga it's going to be mufrach, or on every darga it's going to be in chiyuv. So even a darga of seichel achi pashut, there's going to be a beer. There's going to be a beer for the mitzvah. It's not the Rambam is not saying that the mitzvah is neveh mitzad arinyan. The fact that the Rambam found the most pragmatic biurim there is the most to eat kosher because it's going to be good for your stomach. Be good for the system. Pashut, they should be healthy or these type of things. Since the mitzvah is mitzad ein sof, so the mitzvah is going to be the inner chiyuvi, the fact that it's yet to do a certain thing is mitzad ein sof, so it's going to be good on all levels. So the Rambam is not stam saying timing; it's ein sof, the way it's expressed in, and mitzad ein sof is also pashta timing. There's many rabbis that one of the kudus is the Rambam gives verschiedene types of biyurim for mitzvahs, mamish te'elas different type of things. But when it comes to the mitzvah of lechem apanim, the Rambam says they didn't find the reason. So Shaz Rambam has reasons. K'teris is for smell, or the ancient time, but he couldn't find the bimamtzip's a reason for lechem apanim. Could have. So the Rebbe says the lechem apanim state in we say in Kisvei Arizal that Yigal and Time the B'Treis Arnami that the tam wasn't nizgal b'zman hazeh. In Elam Haseid, there's no tam for lechem apanim. Asid love Yigal and Time the B'Treis Arnami. So it's gal in the time of lechem apanim. So if the Ram could only give time if the inyan was nimshach in tam and atzilus, and then in bria, and then in sir, then asiyah, then in the lower zarga in asiyah. But vibad as the mitzvah of lechem apanim was leinis gal at time in atzilus, so the inyan wasn't nimshach lamata in velt. Certain things they didn't want that they should be that the ein sof mitzad the ein sof it should be in slavish mizgal in velt. It's not that the ein sof is muchrach that he has to be mizgal on all levels. He's not mugdar in anything. But since he's not mugdar, if he wants, his inyan could be from all sides of reality. But if he didn't want to express himself in that, it's an ishta. So since if there's no time in Kabbalah, there can be a tam pshat. In Torah, it could be a tam stam, some it could be mamtzi a tam. But a tam which is based mitzad the insaf of the Indian being is gal b'kol makom, azat tam ken zayin. So the Ram is not tam saying being mamtzi reasons for mitzvahs. It's because the Ratzon Elin was nislavish and was nisgala in this darga. But that's go through a seder shlashos. First the Ratzon is nislavish and chach milah atzilus, and then lower until stam elo has it. So dort müssen stecken tam in atzilus, can stecken tam in asir. Yeah, but I call him that's the so mele. That's this is one kudah the Rebbe saying. That's chassidus b'chalaz mevar. I don't know. It's not. Chassidus b'chalaz mevar as I. That even mitzvah shesh aleim tam ikar mohusam of the inyan, the way it is in tam is the pshitas muchletes, is the ratzon apash. It says k'ar ratzon gam kshu babetam bimhus iblait b'pshitas. Why? Because the fact that he's coming in tam is not because he's misamsum lavi b'tam. The ratzon, the way it is in sof, also has a tam. So the mahus ain't blait b'pshitas, blait in sof. And the mitzad itself is all. It's but we have not seen what it means. An undefinable entity doesn't have to. It's not that he's pshittis, and he could also have a reason. You can't define it. So if leis signiv is mitzad itself, its leis signiv includes is also apisei chalechet. Oh, the first steht in Chassidus. This is all that I was saying. Things which are important in Chassidus. Shelachein gam mitzvahs the mishpatim. So like b'meile, when someone's not stealing. Why? In other words, we're not dealing with. We're living in this world. Stealing is a davar amufrich. Is it true? If that it's not true that that's the yesod. The yesod, even in our realm, tzadamit se'inyan, the yesod that gneva teignish, not only because it's the darg of Ein Sof somewhere, because it's a ratzon elin in the choves keser shel malay me'atzilis, and there leis signiv is inside the ratzon elin. Leis signiv here lamata. Ikar Muhusa is the fact that Lapel Mamish is Hepech Amuros, that's a result, that's a Tetzah. He's not limited, it has to be Dafka conception. But the Muhusa is never the Tam. The Tam is a side effect, so to speak. I mean, it's not, the Tam is never the Yesait for the Inyan. Because it's Ein Sof, there could be a Tam too. So that's why, means when you look at Gneva, you have to look at it, and on one hand, Azeh Terebish Gavot. Is Gneva a bad thing? The idea that there's something bad, and that Gneva is bad, that's all a result of the fact that the Eibush is Ein Sof. And in order to express the Ein Sof of the Shlil of Signev, the Eibush created the system in a way that Gneva is a bad thing. It's not, he created the system. Because Gneva is Mushlam, it's Ein Sof, so as a result of that, the reality is going to be that way. That Gneva is going to be bad. But the fact that the reality being that way is a tetzah of the mohos.
It's just as much in safe in reality also.
No, but that's not the base of the inyan. That's mitzad in stuff. You say this that you can't. If you're going to detach this nekuda, you say I'm not stealing because it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. The idea of bad doesn't exist either. This is what the Eibusher wants. The Eibusher is not limited. B'meil, it's going to become bad. I mean, it's a result. So Chassidus says you should make kind of the mitzvah the way it is al pi ha'emes. Al pi ha'emes, the Mahusa Inyan is an Eibusher. That's the Mahusa Inyan. And when you're not stealing, it's because the Alzeit Eibusher gesagt. The fact that there's an Eibusher behind it, but mainly it's also mufrech hapiseichel. You can't detach the aspect of tam from the fact that it's ratzon elyon, because the tam is called kol inevea mitzad the fact that kachol bersein. So when you're being mekayim the mitzvah dolamat and der welt, you're being mekayim it b'derech kabbalah sel, not b'derech tam. The chokim were neslavish. The Rebbe is not going into it. The chokim were neslavish. The Rebbe teaches. Shlachim is the mishpatim. Shal gam tzad tziva b'yesh b'derech kabbalah sel the chokim. Elo shamitzah shesh alim tam mekivan shar ratzon elyon shebem neslavish b'tam. So means the ratzon in these mitzvahs, the kavanah yena was that the ratzon should also be expressed in tam. But their inyan b'pniyusam is ratzon. Yeah, there's many pratim here. But lamer zen was the Rebbe raised them in their phone. This is when they get to what steht in Chassidus b'chlal. So b'hanegel inyan what the Rebbe wants to bring out legabe this inyan is that azay what man can verstehen. There is the Eibishter. The Eibishter himself is Ein Sof, and let's say all the Gleiben steht in Chazal, Apayim Shana Kodet Torah Le'elam. On that level, mitzvahs taka are Ratzon Elyon, higher than Tam. That's from the. But we're living now in this world. We're the Ratzon, the way it's being nimshach to us in Chumash and in Gemara is the way the Inyanim are nimshach through the Seder Shlosh Elemis, through Chachmeh, not only Chachmeh Lord that says through Chseich Lunushim. We learn Tach Dinim, the way they're inspired in Teresh Valpeh. From that point of view, so the mitzvahs do have a time. So Gneva is a bad thing lapel in our world. It's not Ratzon Elyon. Because the pnimius of a Tutzach Welt is a result as a mitzvah Ratzon. So the feast that I was going back to is this. Kivan shekol mitzvahs in Yanim hu Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which the klab of the Eibishter is hu is Baruch Hu. It's not enough shniyos. That means that the Ratzon is meuchad with him. So now kshem shebay is Baruch. Ein shaykh lemer shu b'shvil izet tachas acheres l'shon. You can't say that the Eibishter is faran for the sake of something else. The Eibishter, he's the tachas, he's the matar, he's the emes. Everything is for him. It's not that the Eibishter's existence is an emtzai for something else. So al derech zeh a mitzvah which is his ratzon, which is meuchad with him. You can't say that the mitzvah is emtzai to reach something else. That's ritzoni atzmi, which is one with him. So what's the purpose of leisignif? In order the person should be a good person? In order to make sure that someone shouldn't lose his money? She's saying that the mitzvah is an emtzai in order to make sure that people should have their money. So the Eibishter is not for people. The Eibishter is the Iker and everything else is for him. So punkt as if you can't say the Eibishter is an emtzai for something and the inyani is in order for there to be a te'elis for something else. You can't say that the inyani of the mitzvah is in order for there to be a te'elis for someone else. In was besteht the mitzvah allein. That's Ratzon Elyon. So there's a mitzvah to give back up the cotton to the mafkid. So you can understand the mitzvah is for the sake of the mafkid having his chayfetz. So then the Ratzon Elyon is an emtzai for the mafkid. If the Ratzon is if it's the way the Ratzon is nishtabish, nishtalshalus, so you could say that there's a tfis makim to the mitzvahs of the mafkid. But if the all mitzvahs ikram is Ratzon Elyon shalom alamitam, and even the Ratzon Elyon the way it's slavish and Torah. In Cheshem Mishpat and Seichel is Ratzon Shalom Mitam means it's Ritzoni Yisbarach, which is Mochad with him. Can't you say there should be a din or a mitzvah, a din and a mitzvah, which in Yani is for the sake of someone else and not for the sake of the mitzvah itself? Means was besteht der Chshivas in giving back a bikotten? That's Kach Ratzon Elyon. That a mafkid, that a nifkat should give back his bikotten to the mafkid. What's the te'elis in them? Because that's his Ratzon. Then besteht der Chshivas. The Indian is that's the Ratzon Elyon. That's the value. The value is not that now the mafkid has his chafatzim back. The value is that the Eibishter's ratzon was nishlam, and that's ritzoni atzmi. But Meila, what's enough gemina if you're gonna? There's a mitzvah to give back a bikot. There's a parsha of shemrim in Torah that if a mafkid gives you something to watch, there's a part of the parsha of shemrim is a mitzvah to give it back. That's ratzon elyon. It's not, and this mitzvah is not for the sake of him having his chayvus back. Oh, that's the mitzvah.
Even the time of it.
That's the tam.
Even the tam is not.
The primiyusa is the mitzvah itself. Because the mitzvah is ein sof, there's also a te'elis. That's after the fact. So shver tzrachna, as if this is what they were saying. So you think the whole mitzvah Shabbos v'kodin is for the mafked to have his thing. That's part of the mitzvahs. Dinei shemrim is a mitzvah in Torah. There's in other things. There will be no chiyuv hashava. The Rebbe learns in the order that according to the Ksos, there is no chiyuv hashava. Parsha shemrim is only a chiyuv to watch the chayfis. There's no chiyuv to give it back. Means mitzvah Parshas Hashem in Torah, there's no mitzvah to give it back, according to the Ksos. So there is according to him taka the din is takanish does it. But the Alter Rebbe paskins that the part of the din Hashemrim is to give back the bikot. That's part of the mitzvah. So it's a mitzvah. What's the yichud? The same way someone shakes lulav. What in order to it's not no keiner trachtish that maybe to show that keiner maintenance that we're shaking lulav in order to show umas ha'elam that in it's a chayach. Mishakal as the mitzvah in Torah shakal lulav. We know what the te'elis is. It's beyond te'elis. That's kach olaber tzeinim is all done. Al derech ze every din in mitzvah is kach olaber tzeinim. Not mitzvah the te'elis. And punkt in this mitzvah shesh aleim tam, it was nislabish na tam too.
So the pratim of the mitzvah doesn't
the pnimiyusim of these in yanim no. The pnimiyusim of these yanim is ratzon. The tam it's not. there's a din, there's a mitzvah Shabbos v'ikadon point in this.
So once this is Slavish and Tam, all the pratim should be fitting to
But-
the Tam.
Both. It says any Iraq Bishop.
But the tam, it's nirgash. That's okay. Everything's explained here, but it's nirgash in the tam that the tam is not the holy name. It's not stam as that Chassidus says that the tam is not. It's nirgash in the tam that ikar muhuse is ratzi, not tam, and that's why the tam doesn't explain the full inyan. There's always going to be pratim mashanakin in all mitzvahs, even in mitzvah mishpatim. There's always going to be pratim mashanam before.
Pratim which are chukim.
Yeah, it's also an interesting thing. The Rambam says the mashal. The Rebbe uses it fakert, but the Rambam says that even mitzvah mishpatim, all mitzvahs, there's going to be nekudas which are mekanish mazbazin. So the Rambam says so the Rebbe is mitzayin to the Rambam for this word. The Rambam wants to make a fakert. The Rambam says the mashal is a tam to put on tzitzis to remember all the mitzvahs. But if that only explains the etzem idea that you're putting on something to remember mitzvahs. But why dafke 4 corners and not 5? You can't explain why schilas and mitzvahs dafke 4 not 5. So the Rambam says, apisechel, you certain technicalities, they don't need a tam. Because you say the number, how many corners? Any number you're gonna have, you're gonna ask why dafke this number. The idea is to remember all mitzvahs. Lepil, we're doing it with a beged. The beged has to have corners. It's fair. You could say 3, so you can ask why 3 and why 2. Any number you can have a question. So legabe the shaila of how many, you don't need a tam b'chlal. But the Rebbe learns that's the Rambam is mazvikil api pshitis api seichel, not everything is a tam. The Rebbe looks fakert. That means that the tam itself is lacking. Tam itself can't explain for you the full scope of the inyan. Why? Because the muhus is cannot tam, muhus is ratzi. Even the way it's in tam in yani is mitzad. So it's nirgash in the tam that the inyan is not based on the tam. Yeah, that's not inyan.
But Nigla, this question is not answered in the beginning of the set.
Right? Good. Yeah.
So even Betzim, all these pratim could have been Slavish.
Punkt legabe this mitzvah the Rebbe is punkt legabe the Rebbe is speaking about the mitzvah of Shabbos HaBikodim. That's not a see that's the mitzvah. There's a parsha shemrim in Torah, which is a mitzvah to give back to Bikodim b'shleimus to the nifkat. The way the Rebbe learns, the Rebbe learns, that's the mitzvah of Shabbos of shemrim. The prat is the gedinim of shmira of the chayfetz. That's pratim that in certain cases you don't have to give back the chayfetz. That's the way the Rebbe learns. The way the Ktsas learns is that there's no mitzvah to give back the chayfetz. The dinim which Torah is saying in Parsha Shemrim is different degrees in watching the chayfetz. Shemer Sachar is chayiv on this, Shemer Sachar chayiv. According to the Ktsas, the Rebbe learns that the mitzvah is to give back the chayfetz b'shlemusa. The fact that Torah pattered the Shemer China from Gneva is in such a case you don't have to give it back. And the Shemer Sechar only by Eines doesn't have to give it back. The Rebbe learns that there's already here with us. That's mamish the gufa mitzvah, according to the way the mitzvah of Shabbos HaBikod.
But all the pratim of the mitzvah are mitzvah.
Good, that's how the pratim advarim. Yeah. The truth is that's a mitzvah. Yeah. Even the pratim, every din. That's the Rebbe's ma'arich in that sikha of Ishtan Ativim. Where's that sikha? That every prat in Torah is in Torah Shabbat Peh. Even Mashatam, everything is ain't safe. And b'meili you can't say it's a davar nitzchi. That's Rebbe's ma'arich over there. Huh? So the Shua. So it speaks to even pratim achar later chiburim. Even there speaks about Merdavachim for sure over there. The dinim in the Rambam when they get to the Seder Achilu Shtir. That's a mitzvah in Torah. That's prati dinim which is b'chal shalat is da makar b'chal in Torah. The Pel the Rebbe learns that it's chachmas that it's ein sof mamish. That it's the same Torah as anei chavay likacha. I'm saying Vishnu don't their beer. If not, so what do you need to have nitzchi satayr? I'm saying if not, the whole shaila over there is not. Well, I want to understand the end of the yishudas. Kiddush kol mitzvah kol inyan rasna kiddush baruch. She's going to say Hashem shebeiz on shaykh leimar. Shu b'shul izet hachas acheres chol shalom. King amitzveiz ve'enim b'shul izet hachas acheres. Kim kol tachlisam hu heim atzmam. U'benegel inenenu mitzvah hashavas bikoden. Mataras ha-mitzvah is einer rak v'shul tevas ha-mafket shiuch zol yemene b'shleimus. Which lefiz zeh we would have the shaila. Why should he get his money and I should lose? Elo ha'ashava atzma hi ha'matara v'atachas. Tom the mitzvah. The mitzvah is the ma'isa ha'ashava. That's the mitzvah. And then mashtet the mitzvah. ולכן גם כשהמאבקת חייב למום בדמה של איס חייב אין מקום למה שהכנס בקודם כי מחויב במצווה שווה. Okay, I made this argument there. We're always okay. Let us learn and okay, this we'll see. This is mamish behemshich. This I made this argument there. We'll vielleicht nicht halten per minute. Good. Sunday, yeah. We'll try to do Sunday and we'll try to do till